aspects are below the level and they are hidden or implicit. And I have provided one example for each one here. As you can see, for the visible and surface level cultural aspects, we have food. For the second one, we have values. Could you please tell me more about the first category? So what might be some visible cultural aspects, observable ones? What are they? We have food, cuisine, what else?
How people dress,
Dress, clothes,
speech, maybe speech, how they greet each other, how they complain to each other.
exactly, languages spoken, right? So we have many different ones like customs, traditions, behaviors, nonverbal behaviors, food, cuisine, clothes, right? And we all have also art and architecture, even holidays and celebrations. What about the hidden ones? What might be some hidden aspects of culture?
Values.
Values, exactly. Perceptions, beliefs, attitudes, priorities, gender roles, taboos, and we have many other concepts like concept of time, concept of space, notion of leadership. All these things are beneath the surface level and they are equal level cultural aspects. And I also included one categorization of cultural aspects. This categorization is primarily used in the analysis of course books, and most of the time the research studies use this categorization when they evaluate the course books used in language classrooms. We have cultural perspectives, cultural practices, and cultural products. What are these? When we think about perspectives, we have youth valued over age or importance of family or personal privacy, concept of freedom. And when we look at the practices, we see that we have again behaviors, nonverbal behaviors, or table manners, have products. What are these? We have musical instruments, traditional and contemporary dress, art for languages or geographical locations. So here I try to provide some cultural aspects. We have two different categories. One is based on Edward Hall's culture iceberg concept. The other one is about, again, as I said, which is used in course book evaluation studies. Now we have a task for you. Could you please think about your own culture, and can you please draw a map of your own culture, including perspectives, practices, and products? I know that we live in the same country and we have similar backgrounds, so we might have a lot of similarities, but could you please think about regional differences as well? As you know, some of us were raised in Black Sea region, some of us were raised in Central Anatolia, right? Some of us might be Circassian or Laz, right? So we have different ethnic identities. If you think that, or if you identify yourself with a popular culture, you can even write about these as well. You can consider surface level cultural aspects or deeper level cultural aspects, or you can think about perspectives, practices, and products. It doesn't have to be a map. You can also draw a table or figure, however you like. Uh-huh. You can think about some food in different regions of Turkey, right? Or festivals. I think everyone has a partner, right? Can you please talk to your partner about your map, and can you please compare and contrast your map with your partner? What kind of similarities do you have? What kind of differences do you have? Could you please also discuss the last question with your partner? I mean, how these similarities and differences can affect our communication? All right, thank you for the discussion. I'm not going to ask each and every question, but I would like to get your opinions about the last question. How do you think that those similarities and differences affect our communication?
We can talk about the differences between the concepts, for instance. There was this very interesting study where they were talking about the concept of breakfast, right? So what is the breakfast when conceptualized by Chinese people versus the Americans versus the Turkish people? And if somebody is invited to breakfast to somebody else's house and you expect something familiar, but you end up with a bowl of rice, then this might be a reason for, let's say, communication breakdown or misunderstanding.
Exactly. When we have differences, and if we don't know how to manage those differences, then we might have some misunderstandings, and this might cause miscommunication, right?
People are not aware of those differences. If we do not discuss them in advance, then whenever push comes to shove, we have problems, right?
Exactly, Hocam. Thank you so much. Yes, we talk about cultural aspects, and some theories about it. But as I said earlier, today we will be focusing on intercultural competence. And today, Hocam mentioned misunderstandings and the communication breakdown, right? So, what is intercultural competence? Any ideas? Yes, Hocam. Can we have a microphone for the speakers?
Maybe it is like basic definition, and in its essence, it's like being aware of these differences and at the same time being respectful and welcoming and being eager to communicate with people across other in different cultures, and the ability to do this properly because like Chiro stated, sometimes we cannot do it if we lack intercultural competence. So we believe that it is an important competence that we need to learn or acquire as language teachers, plus for our language learners.
Thank you so much, Hocam. Thank you so much. So in the literature,
I just wanted to add something because I'm always thinking about intercultural, cross-cultural communication within the rules with somebody, right? To be able to synthesize, to be able to analyze, to empathize with somebody else, first you need the first number of levels, knowledge, application, analysis, and then you are able to compare and contrast and evaluate.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your contribution. So it was defined in many ways in the literature. We have many scholars who try to define the concept actually. Actually, you are very close when we think about the definitions, and it was described as the ability to manage the interaction between people who are different in terms of their affective, cognitive, and behavioral orientations to the world. And Hammer also stated the same thing. I mean, it is the ability to live and work with people from different cultures. Moreover, Crash and Byron, they also stated that it is not the knowledge of a culture, but it is the knowledge and skills to be able to communicate with the people from other cultures or contexts. And there are many models of intercultural competence. And if you are interested in this, you can check Schlitzberg and Shannon's chapter. And language and language classrooms is intercultural communicative competence, which is suggested by Byron. As you see here in the model, we have linguistic competence, also linguistic competence, discourse competence, but today I will competence. That's why I will be focusing on the components of it. As you see here, we have attitudes, skills, knowledge, and critical culture awareness at the center of the model. What do we mean by attitudes? It is the curiosity or openness towards other cultures, or think about knowledge. What is knowledge here? It is the knowledge of social groups, their practices, and products. When we look at the skills of interpreting and relating, it means it is the ability to interpret a text from another culture. And when we think about skills of discovery and interaction, as Perihan stated, it is the ability to use your knowledge and skills under real-time constraints. I mean, whether we can use them properly in communication with people from other cultures. And at the center of the model, we have critical cultural awareness. What is it? It is the ability to evaluate one's own culture and other cultures critically. So today I try to design my tasks and activities or suggestions based on Byron's intercultural communicative competence model, but I would like to give you some details about essentialist and non-essentialist views on intercultural competence because this is discussed nowadays. What is essentialist view? In this view, culture is seen as a homogeneous group and which is static and holistic. When we think about this view, it is a little bit criticized because here the identity is seen permanent and fixed. That's why some scholars think that this might reinforce stereotypes about some social groups. When we look at the non-essentialist view, we see that this model, this perspective is actually a little bit dynamic and context dependent, and in this one the identity is not fixed, and they primarily focus on more adaptable skills like empathy, communication, open-mindedness, and the ability to engage in cross-cultural dialogue. So in this perspective, we don't have any one-size-fits-all approach, actually. So why do we need to promote intercultural competence in language classrooms? We are going to talk about this question, but before that, let's have a look at the case. Here we have a cultural misunderstanding during a language course. Could you please read the case here, and can you please talk about these questions with your partner? Thank you so much for the discussion. I will not ask you the same question here as you have already discussed it with your partner. But I would like to learn your opinion about the last question. What strategies might be effective in resolving this misunderstanding? What can we do as language teachers or teacher educators? Yes, hocam. Please give me microphone.
At the beginning of the semester, we informed the students about the rules and regulations with regard to classroom practice and what does the teacher expect the students to do in the classroom and how are they going to be evaluated. So students will be informed about their participation will be evaluated or not with regard to asking questions and everything.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So giving guidelines at the beginning of the semester would really help. Yes, hocam.
Teachers may even set up a classroom in which they teach the intercultural aspects or maybe raise the intercultural awareness of the students. In that case, the students may be more critical about this kind of concepts.
And exactly, they might be more open-minded towards each other's culture or experience.